Hi, Rachel.
What's up, Krystyn? What's up, girlfriend?
You know, it's a beautiful day outside. I'm getting in the holiday spirit.
I know.
Are you ready? Are you ready for the holidays?
Mentally, physically, spiritually?
All of it.
Yeah, I think it's a gradual climb, right? I feel it's interesting because now that I'm just in a different place than I have been in years past.
Do you mean like mentally?
Yeah, and physically. I feel like in career-wise, right? So last year at this time was right after I had resigned. And so I really had the holiday spirit. So it was so strong because I didn't have any commitments other than to just be present and be. And I loved it so much because I didn't feel that added stress because the holidays can be crippling for a lot of folks, right? Mm-hmm. Especially if you have all of the things to do. The cognitive labor, I think, increases exponentially on us. Over the holidays. So yeah, I'm here for it. I'm here for all the seasons. I am a big prepper when it comes to holidays. I think prepping and preparing and planning are your best friends during the holidays.
I couldn't agree more. I feel like the only year that I ever felt like I was truly prepared was when I was pregnant with Evie because I was due on Christmas Eve. And so I had everything done before Thanksgiving. Every gift was wrapped. Everything was...
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I had everything done.
Oh, wow. I've never been that
I had no
prepared.
idea kind of what was going to happen.
Totally.
She ended up coming on the 20th.
A little bit early.
Yeah.
Still,
but it was planned that way.
Yes.
And so they had planned to induce me. But I went into labor the day that I was supposed to be induced that night. So I went into labor during the day and I went and got my lashes done. I got a blowout. I got my nails done.
Oh my God.
I was like, man, if I'm going to sit in this hospital, I'm already in labor. I'm just going to go.
So nice.
And I do remember I went to, listen, your girl has a lot of hair and I don't mind a cheap blowout. It's a lot to blow my hair dry.
Yeah.
Especially when you're super fucking pregnant.
Totally.
No, I went to the Empire Beauty School.
Oh, yeah. You got like a student to do it?
Yeah.
And they probably quit right after that.
Like this fucking pregnant lady with all this hair coming in here.
I didn't know people could have this much hair.
Like in labor. It's like, that's fine. They took forever.
Well, you knew that going into it.
I looked fabulous after I had her though.
It's so interesting when you think about women that get prepped to go into labor. You see these videos on Instagram where women are like, all right, so my water broke and I'm going to get ready. So come with me. And it's like they're doing all of the makeup, brushing their teeth and doing their hair. And they have this cute little outfit on, all while they're bent over the sink, oh, okay, here's a contraction, right? Mm-hmm. I was not that person. And I had scheduled inductions. So you'd think I would be also planned, but I just was like, no, I just want to be in my natural state. I mean,
I was preparing for the fact that I didn't want to have to do my hair for a week.
Well, your hair is different than my hair. I had throughout, Emmeline's the only one I had long hair with because after Emmeline, I cut all my hair off basically. And I had very short hair. So with Graham and with Isla, I had short hair. So hair was never a thing, but I can appreciate because you don't shower really, or take care of yourself for at least the next 4 years.
We don't shower for 4 years and they turn 4. We're magically clean again.
Yes, that's right. All right. Well, welcome to Two Mystic Mamas. On today's episode, we are talking about the holiday spirit, the traditions, some folklore, some stories. We're just going to get into all of it. Well, maybe not all of it because it's a pretty deep rooted in history subject.
To be fair, I think it's all folklore.
Yeah. I mean, we're just going to touch on the tip of the iceberg.
Just the tip, you guys.
Just the tip. It's always just the tip, said no one ever.
That's not how you get... No, I'm just going to leave this.
Yep, just it's the holiday season.
Do you know, I actually listened to my first holiday song on Halloween this year Not by choice.
I was about to be like, because you played it?
No, I'm a spooky season kind of girl. Some of my students at the music school that I teach are doing a Christmas show.
Oh, so they're prepping.
And they received castings. And so I had gone in on Halloween to teach a couple lessons before trick or treat. That was it. We were we were working on I can't even remember the name of the song now. It's Bon Jovi. Oh yeah, it's Please Come Home for Christmas by Bon Jovi.
Oh yeah.
So they're obviously all like rock inspired songs. So yesterday when I was teaching, it was the same thing.
So Emmeline loves
holiday music.
Christmas music. She's already started listening, and thank God her Spotify is connected to Jeff's, so it's not fucking up my algorithm at all right now. And I like Christmas music.
Jeffrey is loving this.
He's very annoyed. He's very annoyed. He doesn't like Christmas music at Christmas.
I don't think he's
kind of like
as
the
annoyed.
Grinch.
Really?
Yeah, he can be pretty Grinchy. I was thinking about this too, because my best friend loves to listen to Christmas music all year. It doesn't matter.
Is she really?
She does.
I didn't know this about her. I love this even more.
And I was thinking about that on the way up, and I think it's because music has a way of transporting us to places, right? And taking us to places and lifting our spirits and having a direct effect on our frequencies and our vibrations. So I think, and I think this is true for Emmeline, that it brings them to a really happy place. It brings up emotions that make them feel safe and loved and comforted. And so that's why they listen to Christmas music.
I can see that
all the time.
I can see that. Although I will say, I think it was July and I was feeling moved to be excited for the holidays randomly. I was like, you know what? I'm going to put on a holiday song. I'm just going to see if it hits. It did not hit for me. I very quickly abandoned ship. But I can see because something sparked that feeling for me.
It's like it takes you to a place and you love that place. But I think too, as we age, for me also Christmas, when I start listening to Christmas music, it makes me think about all of the things to be done to prepare for the holiday season, which isn't necessarily a stressful thing. But if I'm in the middle of summer vacation, I'm not thinking that far in advance. And I won't listen really to Christmas music until I start prepping for Christmas. I'm still very much in the spooky season, fall. Like I just am embracing that. I mean, the leaves are basically off the trees now, but now they're in the yard. So it's like cleanup time. Though I did find this fascinating article the other day about how important leaves are for nature in general.
Oh, they're hugely important to the ecosystem to actually leave them on your grass.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm kind of here for that this year.
We always leave. We get a ton of leaves where we're at. So we do blow them just because we have a lot of deer here and there's a lot of ticks. We leave them though. We blow them down into the forest.
Yes.
And we leave them there. But not all of them. We're not like meticulous about it. So there's definitely some that stay and then he mows with the leaves
and then mulches it.
Yeah.
I think too, it's like you have a round. Like I've already blown the leaves off the driveway. I've blown them into the row of bushes that line our property underneath. And I will also blow them to come up against our big pin oaks, almost like a little blanket.
A lot of blowing, Rach.
A blanket of leaves. Well, I'm an expert blower. You didn't know this about me?
I've heard.
Well, I'm sorry, what? Huh? You are a what?
Expert. If there was an Olympics, she'd have a medal.
I would. It might be bronze. I don't know if I could go for the gold, but
I'm going for the gold.
You're going for the gold. Okay. All right. The gold of blowing. The blowing gold.
We have a neighbor. As many
Did you blow?
As many of us do. No, she is.
Wait, the neighbor
is super Karen. No, it's this one back here.
Oh, okay.
She's a super Karen about her leaves in her yard. I'm telling you, this woman is out every day.
She probably gets pissed that your leaves fall in her yard.
100%.
Yes, I've seen women like this. Or I've seen people like this.
She picks them up by hand, one by one by one.
Okay.
We see her out there every day. So we've named her Carrie N. Leaves. You know what? don't actually know our names. We're like,
I don't feel like you know many of your neighbors'
Carrie
names.
Ann leaves again.
So the leaves are falling down. What's your favorite Christmas song? Do you have a favorite Christmas song?
God, it's not the one with Mary's boy toy, Jesus Christ, because I can't.
Come again?
It's the Mary's boy child, but I always sing Mary's boy toy in my head, even though I know that's probably like terrible. I know it is, whatever. But I'm not Christian. I don't give.
Well, let me tell you, those Catholics, they can come up with some really good takes on holy songs.
Right.
Hark the herald angels sing.
Oh my God, you guys are going to get a performance today.
Yeah.
This is 2 now.
So this is the version that my aunt taught me when I was probably Emily's age, 11 or 12. Mind you, I was in Catholic school, going to church all the time. Do you know the song, Hark the Herald Angels Sing?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is Hark
I didn't grow up under a rock completely.
Angels. Okay, ready? Hark the herald angels shout. 3 more days till we get out. 3 more days till we are free from this penitentiary. Back to sex and back to drinking. Back to wait. Hark the herald angels shout. 3 more days till we get out. 3 more days till we are free from this penitentiary. Back to smoking, back to drinking, back to sex and evil thinking. Hark the herald angels shout. 3 more days till we get out. Good old Catholic school right there.
Holy shit. I was not prepared for this, you guys.
Yep. And there's other ones too.
My dad wrote a song when he was younger with a friend of his sitting on the beach with their guitars.
Continue.
It's Franklin the Glass-Assed Reindeer.
Franklin and the
Franklin the Glass-Assed Reindeer.
Glass-assed.
Yeah, Franklin with your ass so bright, won't you be my backup light?
Wow. Yes. Okay.
I'm going to record that someday. Nobody steal that. You hear me?
With your book, Buddhism. Okay. We're going to be here for all of it.
This will be the album that comes next. After Buddhism is Franklin the Glass-Assed Reindeer.
That is amazing.
Yeah. Man, who knew?
So my favorite Christmas song, thanks for asking,
yes,
is...
I mean, I thought it was about the penitentiary.
No!
But apparently I was wrong.
I am a big Last Christmas fan.
Oh, that's good.
What?
That's a good one.
I don't know if I believe you. Oh, that's good. That was a generic response.
I was trying to think of it in my head. Is that the one that Evie?
I think by Evie Wham.
Yeah, that's the one. Special.
Yes.
Yeah, Evie was obsessed with that for a while.
I mean, who hasn't been?
I was trying to remember it in my head.
Yeah, and there's been like 19,000 different versions of that song that people have done. It's kind of overplayed, but it's still my favorite. Or
you know who has a great Christmas album? Listen,
Dolly Parton.
I mean, I do love Dolly, but no, that's not what I was going to say. Sia's Christmas album is fucking fantastic.
Yeah. Well, I'm a big fan of Sia.
That's so good.
Yeah, she's fantastic. My favorite song growing up was Hard Candy Christmas by Dolly Parton.
It's a traditional good one there.
Yeah. Also sad.
Okay, I love Dolly.
But if you listen to the lyrics, it doesn't make me feel like an empowered woman.
No.
Now that I've listened to it at like the last years, I'm like, oh.
Last year, I found that there was a Dolly Christmas movie. I think it was originally like a Hallmark or something, but it was on Netflix.
Okay.
Fuck, it was terrible.
Yeah.
I could not get through even a bit of it. And I'm like, damn it, I love her so much.
Yeah, but not everything was a raging success for
Holy
Dolly.
Holy crap. It was...
Acting is...
terrible.
Yeah.
I love you so much. Don't take this to heart. I really love you, Dolly.
No, I feel like she would be introspective on that. Acting has not... There's a couple movies she's in that did not do so well. So...
We love you, Dolly. We love your spirit.
We do. Everything, her energy is so genuine and authentic. But then she also has that side to her that is materialistic and fake, like her fake boobs.
Like, I'm pretty sure she wears like a breastplate now. Like, if you look at...
You mean to hold up her boobs?
No. Like, all of this skin, the décolletage, if you will, if you look closely at more recent photos of her, I think it's fake.
Okay.
It almost feels like... Not just airbrushed.
Yes.
Like there's zero
wrinkles
wrinkles, pores, creases.
Yeah.
Zero.
She is so interesting too because she's such a public figure, yet her private life is so private.
Right. I mean, she knew exactly what she was doing when she set it up that way. Yeah.
Not so much her childhood, right? Like her childhood's an open fucking book, but there's nothing about deep diving into her marriage except Jolene. And there was a little hiccup there. You know, that's about a woman that was like in love with her husband.
Yeah.
I wonder whatever happened to Jolene. Actually,
she probably had to change her name.
I did not lose sleep over that, but I'm just so curious. Okay, so let's get into some of it. So growing up Wiccan.
My dad's Catholic.
That's right. I was going to say you had to have blended it, right? You celebrated Christmas, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We celebrated Christmas all through my life. I started celebrating Yule probably when I was like around 14, I would say.
And that's a Scandinavian.
Well, Yule has roots in, yes, Scandinavian, but also has German roots.
Odin.
Well, that's a whole different thing. That's the Norse mythology of Santa Claus. I don't know if you've know about that. So Odin was supposedly, he was depicted as having like a long white beard, right? Mm-hmm. And he would go out on these great hunts through the sky.
Yes. When
spirits of the dead were then released into their afterlife.
Yep.
And people would leave out oats and food for the riders of the hunt. And so there is a correlation there.
Yes. Well, I think we should also preface this that throughout this whole episode, these are based in history, but history naturally was not as it is today where it's like detailed and so written down. So a lot of this, even like the history of Jesus being born, there's a lot that says Jesus was not born.
I would say though,
Jesus was born. I should probably finish that statement, but Jesus was 100% born, but not
right.
in December.
I have a different opinion, but that's okay. We have different beliefs. And I think that's what's going to make this episode super, super interesting for people. You were talking about how history is written differently. And I don't know necessarily that it is, because while we might have more modern ways of recording history, it's still told from someone's perspective.
For sure.
And every perspective is different. And I think it's the same, but a modernized version of what was happening back then is you have different areas of the world, you have different traditions, you have different beliefs, and all of these are translated from someone's perspective.
Totally. And none of it is, they're captured, right?
Right. None of it's fact.
Mm-hmm.
Right? All of it is lore of some sort. And then it's up to the person that's taking it in of whether or not they want to believe it. Mm-hmm. And how they're going to participate in those traditions.
Totally. What I meant by that too is like, you're exactly right. Like it's the interpretation. So the New Testament was written basically, it had started to be written 40 years after Christ had already died, which is kind of crazy because like you'd think you would start writing it before that. And the whole reason I'm saying this is because there's two books in the Bible that depict Christmas or the birth of Jesus, not necessarily Christmas. And they are very different. One was in a particular place. They both said that he was born in Bethlehem in a manger, but one said that Herod was still alive and the other one said that Caesar was still alive. And they're like, the timelines don't add up if you're looking at it from a historical standpoint. In all of these interpretations that we are depicting, that we're talking about, just know that there is a lot out there that you can decipher and take what you want and also do your own research on it as well. Because we're going to just hit the high notes here. So back to winter solstice, which falls right in line with the Christmas holiday that we now know.
Right. So Yule is a it's a festival that coincides with the winter solstice. And it's symbolizing the warmth and return of the sun. So on the longest night of the year, the sun comes back. Basically, this is remind us what is to come in the spring with renewal. And I think really, if you look at all of the traditions, beliefs, religions that have a holiday during this time of year, the biggest similarity between all of them is that they're all rooted in unity and renewal. Mm-hmm. For the Yule tradition, especially with like the Nordic, Scandinavian countries, they were exchanging gifts in order to honor the gods and ask for their favor in the coming year. Evergreen, mistletoe, all of these pieces that we now see of Christmas our Yule traditions. And the Yule log was something that was lit that was thought to bring good luck and protect the home. We have a Yule log that Charlie made for us, and he's made one for a couple of friends.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And I love this because I think it's also the gathering. They were celebrations where you would gather. You typically would have a celebration that was rooted around a slaughter, because a lot of in these cultures, they didn't want to have to go out in the elements and feed the animals. So they would slaughter them around this time of year, and then they would have meat for all of the coming months. And it was also when all of the fermentation of the drink was also ready. So it was a big celebration of food and beverage and playing games, being together, doing gift exchanges. Again, I think we can all agree that it goes back to having gratitude for what you have,
right,
and making core memories, which has been a human part of this experience since the beginning of time.
Yeah. I remember there was a period of time where my family and their like friends or like adult friends would do a cultural night. So someone would be in charge of the music for that culture. Somebody would be in charge of like talking about the history, and you would bring the appetizer and I would bring the dessert and whatever. I don't remember it lasting long, and I don't really know how authentic the meals were or how accurate the depiction was of these cultures, but it always stuck with me, the idea of doing this. And I think that honoring cultures, other cultures than our own, is like a really, really beautiful part of this human experience.
For sure.
And it's where we can just be accepting of one another. And if I was going to share a message during this time of year, it's important to recognize that diversity in our celebrations is a good thing. And it's a way that we can foster connections when we have families that blend traditions, or you have a friend that comes and joins you for a tradition, and honoring that everybody has a different tradition. Not everybody celebrates Christmas.
Correct.
And there are so many beautiful holidays. Got Hanukkah and Kwanzaa and Diwali and Yule, and is it Los Pasados that the Latin American community celebrates? I might be saying that incorrectly, but the point is that not everybody celebrates the same, and that's okay.
Right. And I think also to that point, there are so many cultures that do celebrate this time of year. And when you are coming together, especially if you are of Christian faith, it's a season of peace. So we always need to just kind of reflect back and have that season of peace within us, and then we exude that out. And with peace is open arms. It's olive branches. It's the dove. These are all symbolic things that we see in everyday culture. And when you have like true peace, like peace on earth, peace on fellow man, then so much beauty can come out of that, and so much acceptance and so much growing.
Right.
So in World War I, and this is another one where you're going to have different historical interpretations of what took place on Christmas Day, the stories have been told that there was a truce between the English and the Germans, and they played football. And on the Eastern Front, the Russians left gifts for the English at this one particular town on this one wall after there was a siege, with a note that said, we don't celebrate Christmas but right now, but you do, because in Russia they celebrate it after the 25th. I think it's like January 4th or something, somewhere in January. And I find it fascinating that they could honor that. They could go to that place of peace for that day. And then the next day, they're back to killing each other and fighting a war.
Isn't that wild?
It's wild and it's upsetting, but it also speaks to human nature too, where at like the core, we can be good with each other.
Right.
You know, we don't have to, resort to violence, but then back to our regular scheduled program. And there's a song, Snoopy and the Red Baron. That's also about that.
Yeah. I I feel didn't we just do the same thing after COVID though? Like we all kind of got to a place where we were like caring for one another and taking time and reprieve to rest and have moments with the people that lived in our homes. And then as soon as the world opened back up again, it was just right back to regularly scheduled programming.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it was just a blip that never happened.
There's so much symbolism that can go into some of these moments that have defined history and that we can reflect back on. But to your point, I think, I just think, I don't know what I think about that anymore. I think we can move on from that point, but
I really enjoyed, I don't know if you have a large population where you live of people in the Indian community, but we do here. And there's a couple of neighborhoods and they are currently celebrating Diwali, which I'm sorry if I am pronouncing that wrong.
No,
I think
Diwali.
It is Diwali.
Yep,
yeah,
it is.
Which is their festival lights. And it's like a little bit earlier than, the rest of the typical holiday traditions, but I do believe it's like one of their biggest, most celebrated ones. But it's meant to celebrate lightness over darkness and knowledge over ignorance. And I love going around and seeing all the lights up early and watching people celebrate this.
Yeah. And the food they make is thebomb.com.
We love Indian food.
Yeah. I've experienced a couple Diwali celebrations with coworkers back in the day.
That's amazing.
And wow. It's one of those things too that I love being curious about religion, about tradition, about holidays. And I think it's just so beautiful how many similarities there are between celebrations, the light and the dark, the rebuilding of our feelings during a time of cold, of hibernation, of where you can come together and have, warm beverages. You can have mulled wine, the Christmas markets in Europe. And it's that energy that is created that I think for me is the most attractive part of the holiday season. And just
I agree. 100%.
Bringing people together and embracing each other and cooking for each other and laughing and playing games and being like super simple. It doesn't need to be this commercial, like for me, this commercialized, how many gifts am I going to get? How much money am I going to spend? This go, go, go. It's like, no, we can just be, and be together and keep things simple. And I think that connects all of us. That connects all of those holidays is the energy that they create, that the peace and the love and the, celebration.
We do that with like Christmas Eve late. The Icelandic tradition, Jólabókaflóð.
Jólabókaflóð. That sounds like something out of the movie Frozen.
Jólabókaflóð. I do believe
on your fjord.
I was pronouncing Jólabókaflóð. You guys, it's not Jólabókaflóð. It's Jólabókaflóð. But it's the giving and receiving of books. So
I feel like I should put a Viking hat on your head right now.
I have a picture of me in a Viking hat when I was in Iceland that we can certainly share on the Instagram page.
Jólabókaflóð.
But we exchange gifts between the three of us, or books rather, and eat chocolate.
I mean, I
that's
think
pretty fucking great.
I think that's a pretty simple tradition I can get down with.
Yeah, it's so simple. Listen to some holiday lo-fi. Yeah, I'll have to send you some holiday lo-fi. It's real good.
Yeah, I would love that. We tend to keep things pretty simple too. We keep the holiday parties at a minimum. I think gift exchanging is where it's at, again, because I don't think you need to spend tons and tons of money to have a really good holiday season. I love to give gifts. I love to receive gifts. I love to make food. The Christmas tradition of December 25th is actually more recent than probably most people think. The interesting thing about it is, throughout probably the last 300 years, it has morphed and changed as different things have come into play. Over in Europe and what have you, it was right around, I believe, the time of Queen Victoria. She was married to a German. The Germans did a lot with Christmas trees, so that tradition was then brought into England. And then also when the United States was founded back in the day, the Puritans, they wanted to have nothing to do with this tradition because it brought about
pagans.
Yes, it brought
witches.
about, but it also brought about sinful acts, sinful deeds, gambling, drinking, sex.
It's all the pagans' fault.
Yeah, well, good old Puritans, they never wanted to have any fun. And so then once it was like in the 1800s, then it became more popular again. And people started to celebrate Christmas and do little gift exchanges and all of the things. It wasn't nationally recognized in the United States as a holiday until 1870. Kind of crazy. That's not that long ago.
I think that was just like the official recognition of it, though. Not that it wasn't celebrated here.
It was celebrated, but again, it wasn't recognized as a national holiday. And then you have books that have been written throughout time. The Night Before Christmas was a big one that then brought into account St. Nicholas.
Are we going to bring up Charlie's book? The Sacred Mushroom and the Cross. And every time I think about it, I think of a mushroom stamp. Literally the worst.
I know, but the title has got to go.
No, it doesn't. It's about the emblem that was like the embodiment of divinity. And basically it's challenges everything that you could think of when it comes to Christianity and all of the stories that the Bible tells you. And it has to do with an ancient fertility cult, and the mushroom was the symbol.
Yeah, Christians don't like to be challenged.
No, they do not.
They tend to, throughout history, kill you if you challenge them too much.
Right.
You gots to go, ho.
I have not read the book yet, but I do think there's a lot of links there.
Oh, for sure.
You know, they're kind of talking about how psychedelic mushrooms played a role in the early religious practices and the stories of Christianity.
Fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
The psychedelics, they let down so much of our guard and allow our subconscious to become conscious. I don't know what the stat or the data is, but I think we only use like 3% of our brain. Maybe it's 9% of our brain. We use like a very small amount of our brain as humans having this like human experience, this conscious experience. That doesn't surprise me at all. You know, the one thing that we're not going to touch on at all because I don't have anything down on it, but it would be fascinating to know what the indigenous people of the United States and the different tribes celebrated. They all recognized the power of the planets, Mother Nature, and it's all super connected. Even when you look at Roman, Scandinavian, Greek, throughout time, they all are so connected, even though they were so different. There were so many similarities between them, and they all centered around the planets and Mother Nature. And
well, I think it depends on, to my understanding, it depends on where the indigenous people are based, in what part of the world.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Because naturally, winter solstice is only a northern hemisphere, because on the other side of the world, it would be a summer solstice.
For us right now.
Right.
But then they swap.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying we only celebrate winter solstice in the
I'm
northern
saying,
hemisphere.
Like,
And I was like, wait, what?
No, what I'm saying is it's all relative based on where you are in the world.
It is, yeah.
So,
but I guess what I was getting at is a lot of the Christian-based South American traditions started to permeate a lot of the indigenous cultures that are in the lower part of the United States.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because it's also interesting if you think about Christmas and how we celebrate the winter solstice here, but then they also celebrate naturally Christmas over in Australia, even though there's nothing winter about Christmas
I know.
in Australia. So they're not harvesting anything.
Yeah, when I went to Australia, it was in February, and they were just starting to come into their summer.
Yeah.
And it was wild because I remember having a layover in Denver, and there was so much snow on the tarmac And then I got to Australia and it was like 85 degrees.
Yeah, that's like, wild.
What is happening?
That's wild.
I think back to what you were talking about. There were pre-colonization, the emphasis of any sort of celebration was, again, around the significance of the harvest and the connection with the spirit world and the nature of plants, animals, that kind of thing. And then when a lot of those tribes were converted to Christianity, that's when they started to integrate those traditions into what they were doing. But I do think that there are organizations that actually focus on the role of indigenous tribes in certain areas, which is interesting.
And great. That's all history too. So, all right. So our goal for this holiday season for ourselves and for our listeners, I can only speak for myself, but is that you remain curious, remain open, have a peaceful heart. If you are looking for community, there are always people out there that are willing to help. If you find the holidays to be a sad season and it brings up a lot of past trauma, just do your best to remain in your peace and do things that don't trigger you. And if that means not going to church, and if that means not going to holiday parties, and if that means not doing gift exchanges, allow yourself the power to do that and to heal.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. And I invite you to open yourself up to a new tradition this year. You know what's also really cool is the nationality rooms.
At the Cathedral Learning.
The Cathedral Learning at Pitt.
So here at the University of Pittsburgh, what Krystyn's talking about is the building, Cathedral Learning. It's the second tallest educational building in the Western Hemisphere, I believe. They do an amazing job around the holidays of opening up the nationality rooms and decorating them according to the tradition of that particular country and incorporating different things, song, dance, food in some of them, historians talking about the history of those countries.
I feel like the girls are at an age where they would appreciate that.
I agree. That's something we should do this season.
Agreed. We do get to see you guys for the holidays, which is lovely. I mean, we're going to do our own little family thing, but we get to see you on Christmas Eve.
So we didn't even touch on that, but that's like one of my favorite traditions that we have created as a family. We have this incredible area in Pittsburgh, in the downtown Pittsburgh area called the Strip District. And no, you do not take off your clothes, though you can if you want. It's a little nippy. It's a little nippy at this time of year. Historically, though, there's a lot of history in this area within the city, and it is known as the Strip District because there were large strips of factories right there where they would, I think it was mostly produce, but they had different materials that were made, and the trucks would come and they would load up. It has been revolutionized in some ways. Google has spent quite a bit of money in the terminal revamping that. But we go down into the Strip District. There is, on Penn, there is a lot of old buildings and family-run shops that are so much fun to experience. Pennsylvania Macaroni Company, Woolies, Stimoli's, DeLuca's, Parma sausage. Like, there's just so much down there. And we go down and we basically gather for our Christmas Eve specifically meal, but also Christmas Day. And we invite everybody and anybody that wants to join. And we have Bloody Marys, mimosas, beer. We get some food and we just walk around, take pictures, have a blast, and make memories and spend all of the time just being together and having great human exchanges.
I know. It's so great.
So if you're listening and you want to join us, we'll be down in the Strip District on Christmas Eve, weather permitting. I will say my father is not in the best shape, so it has to not be like snowing profusely. And a couple years it was like negative.
Well, 2 years ago it was
like the wind chill it wasn't safe to be outside.
I know we went to the Steelers game when it was unsafe to be outside. It was freezing.
Yeah, no, I won't. I won't do it.
It was Evie's first time actually going into the game.
Oh, bless.
She ate it up. It was like being inside of a snow globe. It was so cool. It was snowing. It was freezing. She's just beating people all around us with a terrible towel. She was on the Jumbotron a couple times. I mean, she just was like living her best life.
Good for Evie. Oh, and the Steelers play.
Yes, we
the
will.
Chiefs.
We will not be home this year for Christmas.
Yeah, so
we
interesting.
Will be
with Taylor Swift.
Yes, we'll be with Taylor Swift. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. To be a new way to spend our holiday.
Well, I told the kids next year that I want to spend Christmas in New York City at the Plaza Hotel, like Kevin McAllister.
Are you going to sell your house to afford it?
No, this podcast is going to take the fuck off. So
okay.
I'm going to keep my house. I like the Plaza, but I like my house more.
It is. I mean, New York City is absolutely so incredible. During the holidays, we took Evie last year for her birthday. We gave her like the full, it was like a Elf/Home Alone experience. And we took her around, surprised her with a limo for her birthday, and just went all around New York City.
Yeah. New York City in the holidays, the energy
was so great.
So cool.
I know. I've been trying to figure out if there's a way we can get back this year in the schedule. We'll see. I've always wanted to spend the holidays at the beach. I've never done it. I want to go. This is what I want to.
Fascinating.
Yeah, I want to go once and just spend Christmas at the beach, see what it's like. But I also want to go to like the mountains, like Colorado, snowy, and get like a cabin and be snowed in for the holidays.
You know what movie was filmed in Colorado that they got snowed in on?
What?
The Shining.
Oh, yeah.
You want to have that experience?
I mean, I don't want
on
that
Christmas. That sounds terrible.
No, yes, clearly, yes, it does sound terrible.
You know, Rachel is not going to be down for that dream. That's going to be a solo Krystyn.
She's going to be.
We will not be recording an episode in Colorado in a cabin in December. One of us will go crazy and try to murder the other one. Oh, well, similar to the holidays and the history of, and the reason we celebrate. I love history, right? Like, I thought it was fascinating when I was doing some research on this, especially growing up as a Catholic and then a Christian, about the birth of Jesus and how they don't think he was born in December, but it made a lot more sense to form it around the pagan holidays because, again, they were getting more people to adopt Christianity. So it was a marketing scheme, basically. And they think that he was probably born around March because of Easter. Easter was also highly documented. I love how I was listening and they were like, and then 9 months later, and I'm like, it's fucking 10 months. We were pregnant for 10 months. It's not 9 months. Stop taking away that extra month from us, you fuckers. But just the fact that like, there's just different trains of thought associated with it and how really connected ultimately at the end of the day, we truly are as humans.
Yeah.
And just that need to, during the winter months, come together and celebrate and warm ourselves. And I just love that so much.
I do too.
Also, just have a great holiday season. Make it what you need it to be. Take from what you need and leave the rest, which is true on a lot of things. Feed yourself well. Give yourself lots of hydration. Get lots of rest.
It can be a stressful time, but it can also be a time of renewal and unity, like we were talking about. So remember that you're at choice with the people that you surround yourself with, the energy that you surround yourself with, and how you're showing up for yourself and the other people in your life. I'll be very honest. I had a moment this week where I was struggling because I was not at choice with something, and I had to have radical acceptance. I was not happy with myself with how I was showing up for my family in that moment. And so I got very real with them. And I was like, listen, I'm really sorry. I'm struggling this morning. And I'm sorry that I'm not showing up in the way that A, you're used to me showing up. B, that I want to be showing up. This is not at all indicative of how I care and love this family. But it was really important for me to have a moment where I took accountability for the fact that I was not my best self. If anybody knows me, you know that I am a very happy, jovial, carefree kind of gal. I mean, Rachel's said it before, like, she's like, do you ever like get upset? Like, and I do.
We all do.
I do. It doesn't happen often.
And it usually happens in private with you. You're not one that would outwardly, unless something like monumental happened. I
Right.
mean, it's not like you
Right.
don't have the ability.
Right. I'm just not a reactive person.
Right.
But I did wake up this morning that I was struggling with this, and I was not at choice with what was happening, and I was grappling with all of the things that were out of my control. I wasn't proud of myself for not being my best self, but it was important that I communicated to my family what my needs were and that they did not have a part in that. And I think that that's important that we communicate, especially with our children, because a lot of times, especially the holidays happen, and we have this preconceived notion that our children should just be grateful for all the things that they don't know we're doing behind the scenes.
Right.
And there's a lot of parents that get upset because I'm working so hard to afford this, to do this, to write all of the things. And I've seen it happen.
Totally. It can bring out the worst in people.
It 100% can. And I just want to remind you that you guys are at choice with how you're showing up for your family. And you're also at choice for how much time, energy, and money you're putting into the consumerism of Christmas,
And
the holidays and
the
Christmas.
commercialism and the capitalism of it, for sure. Because at the end of the day, it's really about connecting, and it's really about the love and the unity, and not the things. The things can be super great, and they can bring about a real sense of joy with children, because I remember that feeling of Christmas morning and seeing all the presents under the tree and just being like, oh my God. Right, because it's that inner child within us, right? So let's not lose sight of that. But at the same time, having a gift that you receive and then playing with that gift instead of opening a gift and then moving right on to another gift. Like, I find myself on Christmas morning really trying to take it slow and not trying to plow through all of everything just to get through to the end. Like, let's just make a whole day of it. We used to do that as a child too, where we would take breaks. And as a kid, I hated it. I was like, no, let's keep going. Let's keep going. But now I understand that that's how you find gratitude, is by taking the slow approach and recognizing. And I also try to incorporate as much as I can with the giving for others. Naturally, that's a theme in Christmas a lot, is the less fortunate. How do you give to the less fortunate who maybe are on hard times, are struggling, they don't have the resources that you do? And what does that feeling bring up inside of your soul to help a human that needs help? And giving help instead of just constantly receiving, I think, is a really beautiful principle. And that's not just to be done at Christmas. I think that's just to be done all the time. Anytime you see somebody
Agreed.
in need, if you are in a position to help, that raises the community up and the vibration. So
We love you guys.
Yeah, we do.
This is the kickoff to the holiday season. We are going to be taking a break.
We are. Yep.
So Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, we would be normally having episodes that are released, but we have decided
We have.
to take a 2-week break.
We have.
We will still be on social. We're actually going to be hosting an Instagram Live. So kind of keep an eye out for those dates, because that will be coming. It's just going to be fun.
It is. It is. So do what you got to do and love yourself first before you try to love on anyone else. And happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy Hanukkah.
Merry Yule.
Merry Yule. I know we're wrapping up, but I just want to say that the Brits do a really good job with their lingo. I love Father Christmas, and they don't say Merry Christmas.
Happy Christmas, right?
Happy Christmas. And they do, they always say trimmings instead of sides. We're going to put out all the trimmings. I'm like, that sounds so much better than side dishes.
That's it. We're moving.
We're moving.
All right.
See you next time.
See you in England.
Okay,
Love you.
bye. Ciao.
Bye.